Well, as we know, Governor Paterson has spent the last 5 weeks having a public debate with the legislature over the state budget deficit. Governor Paterson's campaign has been running TV commercials across the state for the last 5 weeks. And what we see in terms of how voters have reacted to Governor Paterson over that time is that they have given him a slight boost in how they're feeling about him. In terms of his favorable, unfavorable rating, 36% of voters across the state now have a favorable view of David Paterson compared to 53% who have an unfavorable view. This is up from just 2 months ago when it was 27% favorable, 61% unfavorable. So a nice rise for the governor in his favorability rating. The bad news for the governor is that his job performance number has not increased that much in terms of how people view the job David Paterson is doing as governor, and his electability really hasn't changed. He still trails significantly by more than 40 points against Andrew Cuomo in a potential Democratic gubernatorial primary. And against Rick Lazio, the former Republican Long Island congressman, Paterson only has a 2-point lead, virtually a dead even race right now against Lazio, whereas Cuomo has a better than 40-point lead over Rick Lazio. Well, the legislature and the governor just closed a nearly $3 billion budget deficit. But the governor says the legislature didn't go far enough, that there is still a budget deficit for this year, and in fact the governor is starting to withhold certain payments or delay certain payments to local governments. We asked voters, did the legislature make the right choice or the wrong choice in not doing further cuts in education and health care as the governor requested? And by a strong margin, 59% to 37%, voters said the legislature made the right choice. And what's particularly interesting here is that Democrats, Republicans, Independents, liberal voters, moderate voters, and conservative voters all said the legislature made the right choice in not making further cuts in education and health care. Well, when Siena asked voters to close the budget deficit next year, should the governor propose significant cuts in education and health care, the two largest pieces of the state budget, or should he propose increasing state taxes? 31% of voters said cut spending for education and health care. 42% of voters, more, a plurality but not a majority, say increase taxes. And here we see big differences geographically, party, and ideologically. Republicans, conservatives, upstaters say, more of them say that the governor should propose cuts to education and health care, whereas Democrats and Independents, downstaters, and liberals and moderates, more of them say the governor should propose increasing state taxes. Well, Siena asked voters, we gave them 3 choices. We said, among Governor Paterson, Democrats in the state legislature, or Republicans in the state legislature, who do you think is doing the best job to solve the state's budget crisis? Well, 23% of New Yorkers said it was the governor. 19% each said it was the Democrats in the legislature and the Republicans in the legislature. But the winner of the question was a choice that Siena didn't even give voters. 26% of voters said none of the above. If Comptroller Tom DiNapoli faces a challenge from John Faso, who ran for governor in 2006 and for controller in 2002, right now DiNapoli has a significant 40 to 24% lead. But the real key in that race at the moment is that more than 1/3 of voters don't know who they would support, and that is because more than half of voters don't know enough about either Tom DiNapoli or John Faso to have an opinion of them. Well, in blue New York, President Obama is doing better here than he is doing nationally. He still has a nearly 2-to-1 favorability rating, with 63% of New York voters having a favorable view of President Obama compared to 32% who have an unfavorable view. But those are the worst numbers President Obama has seen since he has been president of the United States. In fact, these are the worst numbers that the president has seen for his favorability rating since last October, prior to the election.
I'll make you do one more.
No, not at all. Better than 2-1. New Yorkers think the state is headed in the wrong direction. 24% of New Yorkers think the state is on the right track, whereas 61% of New Yorkers think we're headed in the wrong direction. That is just slightly above the record low that Siena has ever seen in this question, which was 23-64. And when we asked New Yorkers about the direction of their country, 43% said the country was headed on the right track. 49% said we're headed in the wrong direction. It's the first time New Yorkers' outlook on the United States has been negative in 2009. The last time New Yorkers had a negative view of the direction of this country was December 2008.